As of October 24, 2025, Ohio's government activities reflect a mix of ongoing challenges due to the federal government shutdown, active state-level legislative processes, and proposed tax policy changes, as well as public demonstrations. Here's a detailed analysis of key government actions, legislative activities, enforcement actions, and public events. Major government actions. Federal shutdown impact on Ohio environmental regulation. The most consequential government action is the ongoing federal government shutdown and its significant impact on environmental oversight in Ohio. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, has sharply reduced its activities, including halting site investigations, remedial planning, and cleanup at Ohio's 37 Superfund sites, designated as the most contaminated locations in the state, unless funding comes from responsible parties or specific chemical taxes. 1. Civil enforcement inspections for air, water, and chemical pollution violations have also been paused, although criminal enforcement continues. Additionally, the EPA is not issuing new regulations unless legally authorized or funded, impacting rulemaking on issues such as stricter air regulations for industrial coke manufacturers, a decision announced earlier this month. 1. Local state response. No direct state or local government response to the federal shutdown is described in the provided results, but the shutdown's ripple effects are apparent in diminished federal agency capacity and increased reliance on state-level processes. Legislative activities. Brownfields and land reutilization. The Ohio General Assembly continues to consider significant legislation. House Bill 93, introduced by Thomas Hall and Bride Sweeney, aims to restore the Clean Ohio Fund to be administered by the Ohio Department of Development and the Clean Ohio Council. As of October 24, 2025, it remains pending in the House Finance Committee, last moving on May 20, 2025. This is a priority for the Greater Ohio Policy Center. 3. Senate Bill 102, sponsored by Tom Patton, proposes changes to tax foreclosure laws and the operations of county land reutilization corporations, while naming the bill in memory of Gus Frangos. It is pending in the Senate Judiciary Committee, last updated June 11, 2025. 3. Property tax cuts. A major legislative development is the passage of bills in the Ohio House that would implement an estimated $2 property tax cut over 3 years. The impact is uneven. Not all school districts will benefit, and some, including the Cleveland Metropolitan School District and Akron City Schools, will receive no tax cut at all. The average cut for qualifying districts is $66.82 per $100,000 of property value, with the Hamilton Local School District in Franklin County receiving the largest cut, about $209.53 per $100,000 of home value. 4. House Speaker Matt Huffman has publicly emphasized that these cuts are designed to be perceptible to taxpayers, even if modest in size. 4. Mind-altering substances. On October 12, 2025, the Ohio Senate held a session with 2 important bills addressing mind-altering substances, one legal and one illegal, though further details on these bills are not provided in the available results. 5. Enforcement actions. Federal enforcement. Due to the ongoing federal shutdown, the U.S. EPA has halted most civil enforcement inspections in Ohio, including those related to air and water pollution and chemical exposure. 1. Criminal enforcement actions, however, are continuing. State and local enforcement. Available sources do not report significant state or local enforcement actions on or immediately following October 24, 2025. The focus remains on federal-level disruptions and state legislative activity. Public events. No Kings protests return. Protest activity dubbed No Kings has returned to Ohio, specifically targeting and condemning the policies of former President Donald Trump. Coverage notes these protests as among the week's top headlines for October 24, 2025, but does not specify locations, organizers, or turnout. 2. The context suggests these are likely public demonstrations rather than official government events. Summary table. Category details. Date, status, agencies, officials. Federal oversight. EPA Superfund site cleanup halted, civil enforcement paused, no new regulations. Ongoing U.S. EPA legislation. Brownfields. HB 93 restores Clean Ohio Fund, House Finance Committee, pending Hall Sweeney. Legislation. Foreclosure. SB 102 amends tax foreclosure land reutilization, Senate Judiciary Committee, pending Patton. Property tax cuts 2B tax cut approved, not universal. Cleveland, Akron districts excluded recent passage, Ohio House, Huffman. Public protests, no King's protests against Trump's policies, Oct. 24. 2025, not specified. Senate session 2 bills on mind-altering substances, legal illegal, Oct. 12. 2025, Ohio Senate. Key points. The federal shutdown is severely limiting environmental oversight in Ohio. With Superfund cleanups and pollution enforcement largely on hold, unless funded by alternative sources. 1. Ohio's legislature is advancing bills on brownfield redevelopment and tax foreclosure, with property tax cuts passed but unevenly distributed across the state. 3-4. Public dissent is evident in renewed, no King's protests, reflecting ongoing political tensions. 2. No major state or local enforcement actions are highlighted for October 24, 2025, but federal criminal enforcement. This snapshot represents the intersection of federal disruption, active state policymaking, and public mobilization in Ohio on October 24, 2025.